The next one is Big Star's third album. This actually is, some people consider sort of a depressing album in a way, but to me this might even, I don't know if it's my favorite Big Star album, but since I gravitate towards the style of music, for some reason I really have a special liking for this record. And it's just sort of an interesting arrangement of the way the songs were arranged. It starts off with several relatively upbeat songs, and then it just seems to kind of go off a cliff. First of all, he does a cover of a whole lot of shaking going on, which is almost, I'm sure that he was sincere about it, but it kind of feels like he was sort of giving the middle finger. I mean, this came 3 albums into the Big Star's career, and I guess Alex Chilton probably. I mean, this is just conjecture. I don't know the exact details of what he was feeling at the time, but listening to this record, it sounds to me like he was just basically pissed off at the inability for Big Star of his band not being able to break through at all and have any sort of success. So this just sort of sounded like he kind of went off the deep end in a way. And I don't know whether that's true or not. I mean, I would be interested to learn more about it. But to me, the intensity of some of these songs, from a fan's perspective, it's rewarding. It was his pain and our gain, I guess. Songs like Kangaroo, Holocaust. These are just beautiful. They're sad songs, but they're just beautiful too. Sort of an honorable mention. This is Alex Chilton's. I think that was his first solo outing after Big Star. Box Bottom, and I don't know if I'd call it a depressing album per se, but it kind of like it feels like it was an extension of the last Big Star album, in that it's a real loose, jammy kind of thing, and not jammy in the sense like The Dead, but it just sounds like they just sort of threw the tape on and they were just playing, and there's sort of a cool charm to that, but and I kind of like it. It does sort of, in a way, you can see in this, to me, this is where you can see the Replacements being influenced by Alex Chilton, because it has that sloppy kind of appeal or aesthetic that the Replacements had. And I don't think with Alex Chilton it was necessarily in the same vein. I think with Alex Chilton it just sort of sounded like they were all loaded, and he just was basically ambivalent towards the craft of the song. It just sounds like they were just kind of goofing off and being sort of I don't know how you would say it other than just sort of being like, screw you, we're just going to do it the way we want to do it. And again, to me there's some charm to it, but another perspective would be that it just sounds like he gave up. So last is actually finally a vinyl. It's the Scud Mountain Boys, Massachusetts. This is sort of, I have actually had this in a previous video, really mellow country folk music. Joe Pernice, I just think, is one of our best songwriters today. He's been around obviously for about 15 or 16 years. This came out in, I think, 96. Super mellow, and this is actually, you could probably call this depressing. Some of the songs, the titles Cigarette Sandwich, Liquor Store, Penthouse in the Woods, In a Ditch. In a Ditch is about a song. It's a song about finding a woman on the side of the road in her car. It's so it's pretty. A lot of it's pretty somber stuff. But he's got just such a great way about melody that sometimes you can kind of get lost and forget that he's singing about such depressing stuff, because his melodies are so beautiful. So that's the last of that. So that was the long number 2. Number 3, the last question was, what are your most anticipated releases, new or reissues? I have to admit, I don't really anticipate records. Part of that is sort of my budget. At the moment, I don't really spend, 99% of the time, I don't spend a lot of money on individual records. I don't have any sort of set guideline. but most of my records I spend, $5 to $10 or $5 to $12. So a lot of times the reissues are a little bit more pricey than I'm interested at the moment. That said, there are times that I've bought new releases. I mean, Skull Mountain Boys I bought online. This was $15. It was just one of those things that I had to have, and I figured it was going to be out of print soon. And I have some other modern rock stuff that, there's newer stuff that costs, in that higher range. But there was a few things that were reissues that I was hoping to get, and I just haven't gotten around to. There's the Jayhawks stuff that came out about a month ago, and Teenage Fan Club had Bandwagon-esque was reissued on vinyl. I'll probably eventually get those. But like I said, I mean, I don't know. My spending habits tend to be that I'd rather get 5 or 6 records, for $30 than go out and get 1 or 2. I'm not saying it's always a good philosophy to have. I mean, sometimes I think that I get a little bit too much into quantity as opposed to sort of concentrating on 1 or 2 releases. But anyway, I guess that's it. So I'll try to get through the 1 or 2 other threads that are still out there while I'm sitting here. So anyway, talk to you later.